Hey Phelan, can we watch some Addams Family?
We've got Addams Family at home. Video.
The Addams Family. The Addams Family. Oh, the Addams Family. I'm coming at you now. Oh.
It was great that we watched these and no other movie happened.
Yeah. Except that this one largely copies Values.
I mean, Values was copying elements of the first one, but in an interesting way.
It's like you keep doing copies and they come out worse and worse.
Copies, yeah.
Though, I mean, Values is a good copy. And then you got Mistake, which was, I think just one time I was trying to say something about this movie to you and I just blanked on what it was actually called. So it was Addams Family Mistake. So that's just what we call Addams Family Reunion now. Addams Family Mistake, which is a more fitting title.
It does kind of fit the plot of the movie, even like, so I mean, it kind of works.
Everything is a mistake about this. It shouldn't have been made.
I think we should explain what Addams Family Reunion is to people, because some people might not be aware of what this is. Like, I'm sure a lot of people know the first two movies, but I'm not sure they know about this semi-offshoot of it.
It's a killer comedy.
It killed comedy.
This thing is so bad, they couldn't even put together the cover very well. Lurch is giant. He could eat several of them with how big his head is compared to the rest of them.
That's how big he is. He's larger than life.
You couldn't even bother photoshopping the cover well.
Oh, but the tennis ball pretty prominent in the movie.
Tennis. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Tennis.
How about tennis? 0-0.
This is boring.
So, Addams Family Reunion came about because Saban realized they could get the home video rights to a bunch of properties cheap. And they did this, and Casper, Richie Rich.
Yeah, all around the same time. And that's also what led to them doing the TV show of Addams Family.
Enjoy the show, and be sure to check out the new Addams Family television series, only on the Fox Family Channel.
But this was meant to be a pilot of it.
Right. Originally, it was conceived as kind of a pilot movie to the series, but diverged a bit as things went along, as both things developed.
Saban, known for being extremely thrifty, which can be to their detriment at times. So they decided they were going to make Addams Family. I think they had kind of high hopes because they invited a lot of people involved with previous iterations of this franchise, because this was meant to copy the 60s series and the two theatrical
Barry
movies that they
Sonnenfeld
had.
ones, yeah.
Yeah.
They apparently wanted to direct this at one point. There's a lot of overly lofty ambitions, or like them trying to get people that I don't think would have worked out anyway.
I feel like these days you can see a lot of prestige television where you get people involved that are larger stars or bigger directors, and there's not quite this separation, this divide between TV and movies.
Those things have money these days.
They do have money.
Did not.
But I mean, like, they did have good TV shows back then.
They did.
This wasn't really setting up a good TV show.
Yeah. Again, those had more money than anything going on. Like, there's still some decent cast in this, considering the budget. And Tim Curry, obviously that's a good name, but they wanted Christopher Lloyd and Angelica Houston to come back for this, and they didn't want to, out of respect for Raul Julia, and I don't think the money would have been there to pay them what they probably would have wanted anyway.
Because Saban was cheap, but Saban also just didn't give a fuck. That was the thing. It wasn't just that they were thrifty. They liked cutting corners, and sometimes they put out subpar products because they're like, they have a name, so we don't really care if it's that quality.
And supposedly part of this was supposed to be more of a reboot and change it up from the two theatrical movies, but as it went along, anytime the director or anyone proposed an idea that was outside of what the two theatrical movies did, they got rejected. Like, no, basically we want to do a bad version of the Barry Sonnenfeld movies.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
Yeah, most of the plots in this are bad versions of plots that were in those movies. The reunion seems very inspired by the summer camp.
We're the honors and directors here at Camp Chippewa.
And we're all here to learn and to just plain have fun!
Birds singing, the smell of lilacs, sunshine. I want to go home.
You got like the love story, but this time it's Pugsley.
Because that's what we want. Everyone's like, oh, I want more Pugsley.
We want more Pugsley.
Hi, my name is Pugsley. What's yours?
Gina.
So, you like tomato worms? This is boring.
They got the bit with the grandparents turning normal, which is like what happened with Pubert. They have people after a sum of money with an inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
It's all that, but just the crappy version.
Yeah.
In all my life, I've never seen so many blood-sucking sycophants.
These plots don't feel like anyone cares. Like, they're going on, but no one's really that invested in the plots.
Walzheimer's, a rare tendency towards ordinary behavior.
Pains me so that we have to put them in a home.
I think if this had been written better, they might have been able to salvage it. Because I think most of the cast weren't really bad choices, except for Pugsley and Fester. I think they were just, they were terrible.
They're atrocious.
This is the worst Fester and the worst Pugsley out of any of them. I don't think they got worse than that.
You weren't planning on taking us to this reunion, were you?
What's the matter, Butch? You're hungry again? Butch, look, I don't even have any hair to feed you. See, there's nothing there.
Fester is basically like Family Guy cutaway jokes in this movie.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God,
let's
Fester
cut to
fucking
Fester
sucks.
doing something stupid. Get your yucks out, and then, okay, here's the next scene.
Sounds like your kind of resort.
Half of his scenes are him just going like...
Butcher, I'm coming, boy!
Fester has like one of the many plots that goes on for 10 years and certainly feels long in this movie, which is he creates a monster dog that eats hair. That's the joke.
It's not a very funny joke, but it's also a joke that ruins a lot of the rest of the movie because there are so many bad wigs in this.
And you know exactly why when you see someone pop up with a bad wig. Where's this going?
Yeah, you know, it's because the dog's gonna eat their hair, but it hurts the rest of the movie because it makes it seem cheaper. You could have saved part of it by not making it seem like this is a sketch from SNL. But they put these people in these bad wigs for long portions of the movie for this not very good payoff, and it's one of the
The Addams Family.
The Addams Family.
Oh.
That's probably the biggest loss. Apparently, they had like
the director had an idea. Yeah, he wanted a darker, cooler theme, and then Saban said, "Nah, we got what you want to do."
We're gonna replace them with Boys to Wiggles. Holy shit. I'm glad that we got the VHS for this because it's not available on DVD. It was only VHS and Laserdisc. But I'm glad that we got this instead of just seeing the crappy copy on YouTube, because then we got to see that crappy ass theme and have them promote the TV show coming up, Fox Family.
Coming soon, the new Addams Family, which, to be fair to that one it's bad in parts because it's got that Saban stink sometimes. However, it does have a few episodes which are pretty decent.
Jewelry you shouldn't have.
Aren't you going to try them on?
You have the right to remain silent.
You know what the Miranda rights do to me? Cara mia.
Mon cher.
Happy Halloween!
It has some hits, unlike this movie, which has maybe 3 good jokes.
Looks like we'll finally get to see how blood runs in the family.
I think that the new Addams Family managed to accomplish more of their goal than this did, because that one felt like, and was, inspired by the 60s TV show. It remade
and a bunch of the
episodes,
episodes, were just remakes of the original episodes.
Yeah, they remade a lot of their plots, but they were clearly inspired by the theatrical movies, and so they were blending these two elements together.
Sometimes that really worked. Sometimes they just kind of repeated things too much.
Yeah, sometimes when it worked, it worked. This movie barely ever worked. And it was such a waste of talented people, because they did have a lot of actors in it I felt could have made decent versions of these characters, but they were given nothing to work with.
Like, Tim Curry as Gomez is something that should work, because, you know, he can do the big enthusiastic stuff, like, that's part of Gomez.
A complete list of names that until now you might only see on jars of formaldehyde.
You think of, like, him in Clue, and you see how it could sort of work, you know, with the dark jokes and stuff.
Murderer crept up behind him. I'm doing it! Will you stop that?
No. Well, let's put her in the study with the others.
But then you get him in this, and it feels like Tim Curry is not sure where he's supposed to go with some of these things. His voice kind of goes into Terrace Bulba sometimes. He sounds Russian. You're like, okay.
You and your associates are questioning my plan?
Gomez Addams, what an honor indeed. You've no idea how often we have uttered exactly the same words.
That's a real possibility.
He's just chewing up the scenery, and he has this inconsistent accent. It's not really certain what he's trying to play it as. Is he trying to pretend that he's Hispanic? Is it just supposed to be some sort of ambiguous accent? Yeah, like, I'm not really sure.
He's very British in the beginning of it.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I guess Gomez is British now, but wait, is he? He's like hitting some hard R's, but not.
Someone somewhere has had previous experience of this rare Walzheimer's disease.
Likewise, of course.
Lurch is not actually a full Addams.
Oh, poor thing. I had completely forgot. He gets so car sick on these long trips.
10,000 of my money against your medical specialty services?
It's very unclear what exactly is happening, and he's such a good creepy actor, but here it again feels like an SNL sketch.
You give me altogether too much credit.
Daryl Hannah as Morticia, not as good as Angelica Houston, but I don't think it was terrible though. I think there were moments that worked, and there were some that were a little bit creaky.
I don't think she gets enough, I guess, to do for it to really be that bad or good, really.
Warm hands, cold heart.
What heart?
One or two lines that were funny.
Yeah, she has one of the funny lines where Wednesday doesn't like her grandparents, Grandma and Grandpa Addams, when they come over, and she goes, "Don't worry, just think about the fact that soon they'll be gone."
So old and fragile. Just smile and be thankful they won't be around much longer.
I think she was better at Morticia than the one they got for New Addams. Just like,
with the baby
is Morticia
voice.
Addams. Oh, this is how I talk.
I know. It appears the only one who's enjoying her visit is Thane.
That was weird. I think that was the worst Morticia, but I think that the worst Gomez, unfortunately, was Tim Curry.
Yeah, it's really sad.
You give me altogether too much credit.
Unless you count those 3D animated ones, then they're all the worst. But you'd have to remember they exist.
We're talking about something that people barely remember exists.
Yeah.
Anyway. Addams Family, what? That didn't happen.
I thought Pugsley was really bad, and I don't like being mean to a child actor, but I think like he was horribly miscast in this, because the few lines that he had were really bad.
Dad says that Wednesday inherited his athletic genes, but I inherited his spastic colon.
Pugsley is kind of a thankless role anyway, but he really just did the least with it.
You can be funny with that, even if you're supposed to be the butt monkey. It really worked in Values, because that's where they kind of shifted the character to, but here's like, I don't know. He's got a love plot with a girl that they think is his cousin through the majority of the film.
Yeah, they never really get into that. The fact that they think that this is a relative. She's played by Haley Duff, by the way. People might recognize Hilary Duff's sister. She's not recognizable in this movie.
They're at a supposed family reunion, and then he gets, you know,
They don't really acknowledge like that this could be a cousin of his. He thinks it's a cousin of his.
At least joke about that if you're gonna go there.
Yeah, I think like the Addams Family aren't above incest jokes, but it's just sort of, you have to think about it for a second, like, wait. So the broad plot of this movie is that the Addams family goes to an Addams Family Reunion, but there's a mix-up. They go to a reunion for Addams with 1D. They're a bunch of weirdos, and the people there are a bunch of yuppies, and they're gonna get an inheritance from Boothby.
Yeah. The sort of joke there is that they are more despicable than the Addams family.
I guess. Again,
it's sort of there. It's barely, but that's supposedly supposed to be the weird juxtaposition there.
You make me sick. You're nothing but a bunch of lazy, worthless freeloaders.
I mean, again, I think this was inspired by stuff like the summer camp and Debbie, and the normies are the most villainous
exactly.
of all. But they didn't have any of the subtlety or any of the like wit of the other movies to make that come across.
Oh my God, have they lost their minds entirely?
Don't make dear.
I'm not really sure a lot of what the jokes are supposed to be. Just that they're rich and kind of greedy, I guess. Like a little snooty.
That's about it.
Such a beautiful day. Why don't you all go out and play together?
Okay.
There's like no subtlety to it. But if you are gonna get a villain in a crappy TV movie, Ed Begley Jr. is your guy to go to.
I implore you to help us.
Look, Gomer.
That's Gomez.
Whatever. Why don't you call me at the office? Just don't call me Wednesday.
Well, of course not. You don't even dress like her.
But not if you need him to play tennis, apparently.
No, he could not play tennis, apparently. They're like, oh yeah, you know how to play tennis, right? He gets there, no. So a bunch of his tennis playing is like swinging the racket just under the frame here.
Yeah.
This is boring.
Apparently, when he showed up on his first day of shooting, they were supposed to do that scene, but he couldn't play tennis, and he was supposed to be like an expert. So knowing that, it makes that scene very funny, because you can see Tim Curry hitting some of them. I don't know how great a player he was, but you can see him hitting some. And then Ed Begley Jr., like 90% is just off screen with like a hit noise pretending. And when you see the ball with him, it's usually shots where he misses.
Yeah.
He also apparently made some trouble for the costume department because they wanted him to wear fur, leather, something that went against his values. But I don't know why his character
His Addams family values.
His Addams family values.
1D.
But why does he need to wear that at a resort? Who's wearing like leather or fur at a resort?
Let's play some tennis.
Yeah, the most I can think is maybe some gator skin shoes, but like how hard is it to replace them with sneakers? I mean, he was correct.
There's so many clues too for the families that these are not the same Addamses, because they talk about ancestors like, oh, we're from John Quincy Adams, and it's like, okay, well, it's not the same Adams because we have 2 D's in our name.
Our ancestors date all the way back to the second president of the United States, John Quincy Adams. Our ancestors go all the way back to Vlad the Impaler.
At one point, they're talking about Boothby, who's like the patriarch of the 1D Addams family.
Yeah.
Then they say he paid for this whole reunion, even though one of the beginning scenes is Gomez writing a check for this stupid company to make this reunion happen for them.
Family Tree Publications can put you in touch with long-lost relatives.
For a low, one-time introductory price of $5,000.
The man that laid down the heavy cash for this gig. That's right, Mr. Walter J. Adams.
It kind of seemed like at the beginning they were setting it up like it was some scam company that like asks you to contribute, you know, a large sum of money for these reunions, and they do that, but then there's nothing more of that. There just seems to be a mix-up, and there's never a revelation from the Addams on either side that there was a mix-up.
Hey, you were expecting maybe the Addams family?
I don't think anyone
they don't
ever
really go into
realizes.
it. It's just like the Waltzheimer's plot with Gomez's parents. Like you said, it's a copy of the Pubert storyline from Values.
Yeah.
But what if we did that and there's no resolution?
I baked a shortcake for dessert. Martha Stewart.
Oh.
There's no setup or payoff. That just happens, and then they put them in a home at the end.
With the 1D Addams.
Yeah, and then that's the end. Like, they're just like, there's no cure. That's a shame anyway. But there's no, like, story-wise, what's the purpose of this? There was no jokes to it. It wasn't really funny, and it didn't have a
they
real
did
ending.
some sort of normal things, and they did the American Gothic painting at one point.
That's something also that only works if you know the characters a little bit. I mean, it wasn't very good in values, to be honest, when they did it with the baby, but it's a baby. A lot of it was the reaction from the family.
Yeah, you had Raul Julia passing out, and he's so upset about it.
Yeah, but if you have, like, characters that can walk and talk and have more of a personality, the joke is this is not what they're normally like. We don't know fuck all about the grandparents.
We get, like, a minute or two of them as they're supposed to be, and then they start doing this normie crap.
Apparently they asked John Astin to be the grandpa. Like, why would he do that?
Yeah, this would be such a crappy role. It's like, no wonder he didn't do it.
He's like, I'm waiting for new Addams Family. That's really...
Which, I mean, I think those episodes turned out much better than anything in this movie,
definitely.
so he was right.
He was correct.
There's nothing like the smell of Fester in the morning, is there?
If it were me, if I'd read that script, I'd be like, oh, no.
Yeah,
No,
like,
thank you.
So my character turns normal and then nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that great? There's no resolution to that plot.
The resolution is they're like, bummer.
And then they get blown up, I guess.
I think I left my Siberian firecracker at those weird people's house.
Yeah, I think they died. That's also the resolution to the Pugsley love story, and that there is no resolution. They're just like, are you sad about the girlfriend? And then, no, I'm sad that I left my firecracker there.
Yeah,
the end.
Then they explode at the end.
It's just a bunch of stuff that happens.
It really is.
It's just a bunch of stuff that happened.
There's no care about anything. Even like the beginning scene is them doing a mailman getting killed, which Saban latched onto that.
Oh, they love doing that.
That was in New Addams Family a lot. They have Pugsley and Wednesday standing there, but they're not even really there. They had to screen them in front of the door of the house.
I don't think they had an exterior for the house, and that's why they screened them in. I think they had an establishing shot, and
I think they have Gomez and Morticia actually in front of a door at one point.
Oh, maybe they just added something on and they couldn't shoot there or something, but for some reason, Wednesday and Pugsley are screened in. And there's some shots where I don't know if they were on a soundstage or they just needed a backdrop or something, but the background doesn't look real behind Gomez.
And then there's shots of the full house, and it's like, nice fucking model.
Nice fucking model!
There was also a running plot that went nowhere where the people who were supposed to go to the reunion, instead of our Addams with 2 Ds,
Oh, what kind of idiot leaves something like this laying around? What, you don't like my bags?
end up at the Addams family house. And
how that happened?
Yeah, they get terrorized by Grandma Frump and Cousin Id. But Cousin Id should have been at the reunion, but he wasn't. And then they were like, Lurch is at the reunion because he's sort of related to us.
But most assuredly, he has the heart of an Addams.
And then we're not going to explain Thing because we think we have some funny bits here. They don't, but they think they do.
They think they do.
They think they do. And Lurch and Thing were the only people they got from the Sondheim movies.
Sonnenfeld.
Sondheim's different. That's a composer, I think. Whatever. The Sonnenfeld movies. That's the people that they got from those. I enjoyed that. Oh, Clint Howard was in this.
Wow. You guys gotta try this.
Another wig person. See, like, oh, where's that going? Ha ha ha. Fester and his damn dog.
Did they even show him without the wig?
They did, yeah.
Oh, did
the
they?
dog
Okay.
eats his hair, so you see him without the wig.
He thinks that
he thinks Thing is a dog, yeah.
Yeah, he thinks Thing's a dog.
Gotcha, you little hair-eating mutt.
This is near the end of the movie when the police bust in on the reunion after all of these shenanigans. For some reason, the Addamses are arrested. I'm not really sure why. So the kids are going to go to foster care. Again, no one realizes they have a different last name.
As a concerned relative, I feel I must step forward.
And then Thing and the stupid were-dog that eats hair, hair dog, they get taken in by the dog catcher, and then Fester is going to be killed by Ed Begley Jr., I guess. He was a doctor or something. I'm sure they explain this.
Gomez was trying to get Ed Begley Jr. to be his parents' doctor through a lot of that, and that's why he's beating him at all those games.
Et voila.
This is boring.
Because that was the wager.
Oh, okay.
So you'll be my parents' personal physician and fix their Alzheimer's, which is how that sort of factors into a plot at all, even though they just don't care by the end of the movie.
Yeah, they're like, oh, that was a shame anyway. The thing was, we loved this movie. It was so good. I love how Fester ran around with this stupid dog experiment, or the people ran around the Addams house, and then they just kept cutting to the same scenes and stretching them throughout the movie.
They're screaming in the house for 10 years. Can this scene be over? Just keeps cutting back to it. It's the same thing.
There's a strong chance we're gonna wake up dead.
Why, you could wake up dead tomorrow.
It's Baywatch style. You just film a bunch of stuff and then you cut and paste it throughout the movie and you get an hour and a half of bullshit.
Let's get it! Let's grab it!
And that's what the end product is.
And then you end with who are they calling ho?
The Addams Family.
Addams Family.
Oh, there it is.
No. When Gomez and Morticia are arrested, that's one of the other few funny lines in the movie, is when Gomez is saying, we'll do this big plan to break out of here, it'll be bloody and all this.
Even if we die violently in the attempt.
You're free.
Okay, that works for me too.
Yeah, because Boothby posted bail for them. I don't know why they couldn't afford bail, because so many of these movies have pitched on them being rich. But apparently he busted him out because he hates his family.
The Addams Family fortune, it was theatrical money in the other two movies. And then this is home video money, so they don't have enough to bail themselves out.
They squandered it on something or other.
Boothby first shows up with a bad wig. And you're like, where's this going? And then Fester chops off a bunch of his hair to feed the dog, and Boothby's got a mohawk through a lot of this, which scared the hell out of him.
I want to take a look at that nanoprobe technology. It scares the hell out of me.
It's Addams Family. Don't scare the hell out of me.
They're not that creepy or kooky. They're kind of boring, as Pugsley says with his best line of the movie.
This is boring.
We cracked up at that. This is boring.
There's one part where Pugsley turns into the girl from Willy Wonka who eats the gobstopper.
Oh, that's not funny.
No, it wasn't funny. Like, too, after Gomez and Morticia get arrested, this social worker comes in and is like, I specialize in putting kids into questionable living situations.
To separate crying children from their terrified parents and place them in questionable foster care.
It's like one of their three good jokes.
Yeah. How about when Fester went...
Fester! Can you imagine Christopher Lloyd doing any of this?
No! I mean, well, he's done some shitty TV movies, but...
I've got this stupid dog!
But see, the thing is, he wouldn't
I've got no time for any of this! I hate this movie!
See, if he was he wouldn't play it that way, though.
No.
Even if he had the same material, he would find something in it. This guy didn't.
Bravo! Bravo! I feed him nothing but a strict diet of human hair.
One of the many bad Festers.
All he did was bring badness to it, and then the guy who took over and knew Addams Family is like, my inspiration. That piece of shit.
It really depended on if the episode was written better or not for the guy who knew Addams Family.
We're not saying anything until you tie us up and behave like uncivilized criminals.
I probably hated him more than the one in this, because there was so much, and they were like, it's the Fester show. And then when they definitely him,
did.
it like fucking sucked.
Yeah, that was garbage.
Me, Me, and me, and me.
But this guy was worse than him. If he was in a TV show, I would hate him more, but there was just less of him than the other guy.
Had to put up with the other guy longer. So.
Yeah, he was taking inspiration from the Jackie Coogan version of him, definitely, rather than the Christopher Lloyd, because he was doing the high-pitched voice, but the Jackie Coogan one was funny, and he wasn't.
Yeah, he knew how to work with a character like that, and the other guy didn't as much.
Part of it, too, was the fact that they played it that he was cool and debonair and handsome, and they loved him, and they would say all these things about him, even though he was a weirdo, which this movie didn't really understand that was what was funny about the Addams Family. They start with a speech about how they're different, which just seems
that is
weird.
So anti-Addams Family. They don't view themselves that way. And it also feels very, let's just state things like, because we're a garbage movie, we don't have to just show you these things. Like, we are weird!
What is it that makes us the truly different people we are? Ancestry!
Good, thanks!
Where am I from?
As you know.
We are a very special and distinguished people.
I think that a lot of these people that they had in this movie probably, if they were in the new Addams Family, could have made it work.
Which Wednesday was, and you can see the seeds of that. She's kind of got that deadpan Christina Ricci Wednesday down, which is why when it's written well in the new Addams Family, she does well with the character.
Pugsley's trying to persuade me not to execute him. What? So far, his argument has been unconvincing.
The reason that they didn't cast or didn't ask Christina Ricci and the guy who played Pugsley to come back for this was because they'd aged out of the roles. I don't think they could afford Christina Ricci at the very least. I think they could probably get Pugsley back if they wanted. I think the girl that played Wednesday in this did a really good job of imitating Christina Ricci's. It is derivative of it, but that was the point. That's what she was supposed to be doing. And so she would have some funny lines in the new Addams Family as well. Like their Halloween episode was pretty funny.
Keep trying. They're hard of hearing.
I enjoyed that.
Tim Curry and Daryl Hannah probably could have done a funny version of them if they had better material to work with, but
there was just no material.
Dolores was talking about piano lessons.
Oh dear. I'm so sorry your children had to be exposed to that element.
Yeah, but the guy they got on New Addams Family did a good job of imitating John Astin's version.
Yeah, he had the enthusiasm down.
Yeah, sometimes he mugged a little too much.
Yeah, and they got kind of stuck in that mode sometimes, like, okay, we could vary it up a little.
Their decision to not make this the cast for the show, I know there were some other issues that came up why they didn't end up actually making the show with this cast and crew, but I think that worked out for the better, because it was bad.
Would they have really gotten Tim Curry for a series, though? I don't know.
I think so. I mean, he was doing a lot of TV work around the time. Like, he was doing movies, too, but I don't think he was unaffordable or inaccessible. I think, like, if he liked it, he probably would have done it. He's doing a lot of voice work.
He saw this movie.
He's like, I gotta go to Bunk and play Dale the Whale.
I'll be the second one.
The role of a lifetime. Up until Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties.
Do the Carlisle Shuffle.
You do the Carlisle jig. It goes like this.
This was a mistake. Addams Family mistake.
Sweet. Oh, there's somebody.
I don't know if I'll ever rewatch this movie.
It's best to stay away from this.
It is boring.
This is boring.
And it's infuriating to see, like, some good cast like Tim Curry, Daryl Hannah and stuff being misused to the degree this movie does.
Well, and you think, too, like, the, Sonnenheim?
No. Very Sonnenfeld.
Oppenheimer?
Yes. Very Oppenheimer. He made such visual movies too, and then there's the lack of this, complete lack of that in this piece of shit.
Getting to. He was a cinematographer first, so he really knew how to make a real visual feast with those movies, and that's why they look so good.
They have some crappy highlight a couple of times in
and they're
this
trying
one.
to imitate that in this, so they got crappy highlight a little bit occasionally, and it's lit like a sterile sitcom. It just looks ugly. It was aimed toward children, but it didn't really feel like a very whimsical, fun kid movie or a family movie or anything.
It felt like nothing. Just bunch of stuff that happened that was a mistake.
It was not as good as Oppenheimer Stein's movie.
Oh. I don't have time for this! I'm out of here! I hate this movie! I don't care if it changes studios! Fuck it!